All right, so welcome to the Teen Biz Podcast, and my name is Crystal Victoria. I'm your host. Today we have a really special guest, and we're going to talk to an amazing young lady named Alice, who just recently won a pitch competition at YouthFest at LA ISD this week. So, y'all, welcome to the Teen Biz Podcast, Alice Medina. Hi, Alice. How are you?
Hi, Miss Victoria. I'm doing good, and you?
I'm good. I'm good. So look, the champ is here. How you feeling about that?
I'm feeling great. I'm really excited for everything coming up.
That sounds good. So we've met this week because you were getting ready to enter a pitch competition and you needed a little polishing. And just to be clear, her pitch deck was really ready, y'all. She was already awesome. And I just kind of helped put in the finishing touches. So tell us a little bit about the background to this idea. And we're going to start at the beginning and kind of work our way to how you got to this pitch competition and this idea. So tell us a little bit about, first of all, tell us how old you are, what school you go to, and when did you first start or notice an interest in your own business?
So I go to Alice Taylor High School. I'm in the 11th grade and I'm currently 16 years old. And I would say, I think going into high school, I really found an interest in just kind of wanting to start some type of business, but I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. And then going into my sophomore year, we have like endorsements, which are career pathways at school. And I decided to join the video production pathway. And I discovered that I really had a love for everything that is media creation, photography, videography. And I decided that that was something I wanted to be involved in. And then just as I got older, I realized I follow a lot of like influencers and like content creators online, and I decided that that's something I wanted to do. So now I just had to figure out a way to kind of blend that in with my community, and that's where the whole idea kind of came from.
Awesome. That's so cool. So you like content creation. So if I'm correct, you enjoy social media, or do you like doing YouTube videos? Do you like talking behind the camera, or do you just like filming things?
So I like filming things. I actually don't like being in front of the camera. I always prefer to be behind the screen. But I think it's just because that way I can control kind of how a video turns out. Because when you're in front of the screen, other people have to record you. But when you're behind the screen, I get to control kind of like the creative direction. And more so than filming, I actually love editing the most. But obviously, I love doing both jobs because I can film the way I want so that when I edit it, I know how it's going to turn out and how I want it to be.
Ah, so you like the production side of
Yes, ma'am.
content creation. So, so often, young people, especially like yourself, want to do content creations, like they want to be the influencer, but you're like, I want to record the influencer, right? And
Yes,
record the
ma'am.
content. That's awesome. Awesome. So walk us through when you decided to make this a business or how that came across. I believe you mentioned having a class in public speaking or something.
Yes, ma'am. So this year, my junior year, I decided to join FBLA, which stands for Future Business Leaders of America. And it's kind of like a nationwide club or group, you could say. And so our school had a chapter, and I decided to join the school club. And as I was looking through kind of the different events, because again, there's so many competition events. It could be a test or it could be an actual presentation in front of judges. I decided that it was my first year, and I kind of wanted something that would just let me kind of step into what it's like to actually present in front of judges and compete in that sense. So I decided to go with public speaking, and that kind of forced me to prepare a speech and get ready to actually talk in front of judges and kind of get rid of that fear or that anxiety of, actually being in front of adults and presenting something that I wasn't sure about. However, that public speaking it was not about a business. It was just about a different topic, which in this case was resilience. But I think going into it, I competed at both the regional level and the state level, and just having a lot of success with that, I decided that I really liked doing that. And when I saw the opportunity for the Youth Fest with an actual business idea, I figured it was a great way to both combine public speaking with my actual business concept.
Ah, okay. So resilience. So it's very interesting that you did a speaking engagement or a presentation on resilience, and in the back of your mind was the goal of actually opening your own business. Talk to me about what your presentation was about and what you've learned about resilience.
So my presentation was kind of exploring what adversity is and kind of how to get through obstacles and succeed in the end. And so I think I talked a lot about how at our age it can be scary to do a lot of things because we're so scared to fail. But I really explored the idea that failure is always just kind of redirection, and if you don't try, you're never gonna kind of succeed, which was my case in the Youth Fest actually, because that fear was holding me back a lot throughout high school. I was scared to try new things because I was scared to fail because I am a perfectionist. So, I always want things to be really great. But I talked a lot about how resilience is not always easy. And it's okay to understand that sometimes we need to ask for help and we need to push through. But above all, you should never be scared to fail because that's what eventually it's going to take you somewhere. And so, kind of just knowing and talking about adversity, I kind of had to apply my advice to myself because I know it can be scary, especially at my age. Just starting something new, something that you don't have experience in, is not always easy. But seeing the opportunity for Youth Fest, I was like, this is the perfect example of how we can sometimes be scared to try things, but I just kind of had to use my own advice and actually just go for it.
So, and I want to ask a follow-up question because, there's probably a kid out there that's listening or watching you right now that's thinking, how do you build resilience? How do you do things that make you resilient? Or how do you learn resilience? If you could give another person an idea or a tip, what would you say is a way that they can start learning and building resilience right now?
So I actually think sometimes people think that you have to do a lot of like a big demonstration or a big thing to get to start building that resilience, but I actually think it's the opposite. I think it's built in the little things every day. So for example, someone that's not used to talking to others or kind of gets scared like asking a question in class, it starts there because it starts in those little moments where you start building your own confidence. So obviously you can't go from never wanting to ask a question in class to all of a sudden wanting to speak in front of, I don't know, 100 people. So you kind of just have to every day, obviously you're gonna have those fears, but it's just kind of getting over it and being like, okay, today I'm gonna ask a question in front of everybody, or today I'm gonna talk to somebody new. And over time, it just kind of starts, you work your way up until you build that resilience. And also anything as simple as like if you have a new idea or a new project for school, just not being afraid to get out of your comfort zone, because I would definitely say that learning to be comfortable with being uncomfortable is the best thing you can do to just get yourself out there.
That's awesome. And that's great advice. And you're very wise to have learned that. That's something that's a skill set and a lesson that will take you so far in life. And I'm already so proud of you and your ambition and your resilience. I just feel like you have a super bright future ahead of you. So let's talk about the business and what inspired that. Are there any entrepreneurs in your family, or would you be the first?
I would be the first. However, like nobody in my family has a set business per se, but growing up, my parents have always kind of told my brother and I, you have to find a way to make your own income, this and that. My parents do have property, like different properties, because, well, I wasn't born here. I was born in Mexico, but in Mexico, they do have a couple of properties that they rent out every year. And so, like growing up, it was always taught to us that you have to find a way to make money outside of your own income, and especially something that's like recurring income, passive income. So it's generating money even when you're not directly putting time into it. That was kind of taught to me. But growing up, I decided that I do want to be in something that's kind of involved and I have control of it and it mixes my passion into it. So I decided that, I kind of just wanted to pitch this idea. So if once I get it going, I would be the first entrepreneur per se. But it has definitely come from growing up in a household that encourages that growth, like both financially and kind of like in the mindset.
I love that. That's so important. That's one of the things that I've always aspired to teach young people your age is really just the importance of multiple streams of income. A lot of times people do think when they think of entrepreneurship, they think it's this big thing. They think it's this building this big business or becoming a billionaire or even being rich. And really, the skill set can cover, like you said, multiple things. Like you said, sometimes it's the small things, it's the side hustles like your parents have taught you, just having passive income on the side of a regular job. Entrepreneurship can be plenty and many things, right? So I love that they've taught you that lesson. Sounds like you have awesome parents, awesome parents. So tell us a little bit about this idea and how you kind of came up with it, where you were, what was going on when you came up with this idea, and share with people what it is.
So I pitched Launch Local, which is a digital media and branding platform to help under-resourced businesses within my community that struggle with getting visibility. So kind of the idea behind it is that a lot of businesses in my community, especially like when I go out with friends or kind of with my parents, we see a lot of businesses or shops, restaurants, stuff like that, where they don't have a lot of customers, and the business itself is great. But the reason they don't have customers is because they have no digital presence. And especially in my generation and just kind of in our current society, I think being active online and actually having a social presence is so important. And so I kind of wanted to find a way to help those businesses. And what Launch Local does is it would create a website for you which uses AI, because again, in our society technology is so used, and AI is a really helpful tool, especially when you find a way to make it useful. And so we use an AI platform like SiteDrop in this case, which generates the website for us. So we would speak with the client, kind of figure out what their business needs, what the aesthetic is, what the vibe is, and then from there you make a website. Um, and that website helps gain visibility. It helps get more customers because I feel like a lot of customers often go online, especially in like Google Maps or Google, and they'll search up a restaurant. But if that restaurant doesn't have a website, they probably won't go there because they don't know what to expect. They don't know if like their needs are going to be met. But I also wanted to mix that with my content creation. So I figured that after you make that website, you can keep working with the client to make more content for them, whether that be photography, videography, and just actually build a social media account that will hopefully convert those viewers into actual customers in person.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, and we talked a little bit about the details and the marketing, as we were putting together your pitch deck. Tell me one or a couple of things that you have identified as potential challenges to you actually being able to execute. We talked a little bit about that, but the reason I'm asking is just so that, we can identify them and then we'll figure out ways together to get around it. But what are some of the challenges that you foresee with you executing this idea?
So I think especially in the beginning, the hardest part is just going to be gaining clients in general. And why I say that is because the way the business works, or the way I want it to work, is the website would be kind of generated. Well, a mock-up website would be generated before I reach out. And the idea behind this is that we're no longer trying to convince a client of why they need a website. We're showing them. However, the hard part behind that is that we would be kind of cold calling. So just calling a business up and saying, hey, I think your business is great. You have a lot of great products or a great atmosphere if it's a restaurant per se. But I noticed you don't have a website, and I think you're missing out on a lot of customers. And hopefully the idea is that we could get them on a Zoom call like this and kind of show them a preview of that website. However, I do think that especially with me being this young and not being an adult, a lot of businesses would be kind of hesitant to actually see what it's about, just because they might think I don't have the experience, which kind of I don't, because I'm building that experience by doing this. But I would say definitely just gaining clients in the beginning and getting them to see that it's a worthwhile experience and it would actually benefit them in the end is one of the biggest challenges, as well as kind of just I would say kind of growing the clientele. And especially if I hope it goes well, or I'm gonna manifest that everything goes well. When you start gaining a lot of clients, especially in this kind of media production, it can be hard to manage a lot of people at a time, because you have to consider it's going out to, take photos, record the videos, and then having to actually edit all of that content. If you're taking on too many clients at a time, it's not something I would be able to handle by myself, which would kind of lead into the whole you have to get more people to work with you and kind of grow your team as you work your way up.
Awesome. And I'm glad that you identified those things because, it is always, no matter what business you start or think about, there are going to be challenges, there's going to be obstacles, right? And the sooner you identify what they are, the sooner you can get through the fear and work through the strategy of how you're going to go around them. As I was listening to you, one of the things that came to mind for me is that, there is oftentimes a disconnect between adults and young people. And one of the strengths that you have is being able to market a business for an adult or a seasoned professional in a way that attracts younger people like you to their business for more than just to come in and patronize. That business owner might need employees. And if they can't connect with the demographic and the age group that they're looking to recruit and hire, then they have a problem that's just as, as complicated as them selling. So, I think that this is something that as you create content and as you set yourself apart, think about not only being able to create content to attract your age group, you could encourage that business owner that, and let them know that the content you're creating is also going to help them keep a pipeline of employees and potential, customers and employees that want to work for their business and help grow it. So just wanted to share that with you. Just some thoughts I had. And as I mentioned before, I've offered my help and, to have support you through our Teen Biz Camp program. If that's something you're looking for to help you actually build this and grow this business. But what I want to also know is, what does success look like for you? When you look at the next 5 to 10 years of your life, where do you see yourself, or where would you like to be?
So I think with it being my junior year this year, I would definitely say the kind of more immediate success for me right now is going to college. Especially I want to major in communications and kind of like advertising and the whole media aspect. So I would say definitely going to college. And more than just the education itself, I want to build those connections. So I definitely want to have a couple of internships. And ideally, I would like to get a job right after college, which in my mind, if I get a really good internship and it goes well, I would like to end up working for that same company right out of college. But as I'm studying, I would definitely like to grow this business. And I am looking to study out of my city. So I'm hoping this grows well. The business launch local grows very well during my senior year, which would allow me to end up hiring like an employee or somebody like that to have people working here in Houston and then to actually expand it and work from wherever I am in whatever city I end up going to college. And then after college, have my own job, definitely keep up with Launch Local and actually kind of see if there's even more businesses I would like to start. Because I know growing up, it was definitely, I was always that kid where they're like, oh, a jack of all trades, and they're always like center on one thing. But I've always kind of believed in it's okay to have a lot of passions. And if you want to go after multiple things, you can. It's just kind of learning to balance your time. But I would definitely say immediate success, going to college, and then internships, graduating. But as an adult, I definitely, want to have my dream house and all of that. But it all comes down to, for me, kind of being happy with what I'm doing.
Awesome. And as I'm sitting here listening to you now, and I saw you on stage live, you know, although you said you really want to, be the production and film content, I think you'd be great in front of the camera too. I just really want you to know that. I think you'd be great in both instances. Consider it, because you've got a bubbly personality, well spoken, and you just really, really would really shine through, if you were ever to speak on camera and then turn around and edit your work. So again, just wanted to give you some encouragement there and add that. So okay, so as we wrap up, what give our listeners and give the young people some tips or some words of wisdom that you have and that you keep close to your chest on success.
I think going back to a little bit of what I said earlier, I would definitely say learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Obviously, at our age, there's a lot of things we're scared of or things we don't like to do, kind of just like that social pressure around us. But remember that what you wear now, what you say now, what you do now, a lot of years into the future, you're not going to see a lot of these same people in high school. And it's kind of up to you to make that future. So if you're being held back because of the people around you or just kind of that fear, remember that if you don't do something about it now, you're not going to see it grow in the future. So kind of just start building those roots early on. Any ideas that you have right now is definitely the time to get that experience and everything. And I think a big one, especially coming from my personal experience and my journey, is don't compare yourself to other people. I know it's definitely hard. Again, with all of social media, we see a ton of kids our age doing all of these amazing things, and it kind of sometimes holds us back because we're like, oh, it's too late. I should have started earlier, or I should be more ahead. But at the end of the day, it's your journey, and there's no better time to start than now. So just kind of go for it, whatever it is you want to do, whether it's starting a business, going to college, just anything that you want to do, don't be afraid to go after it. It's never too late to start. You can always go after anything you dream of. And again, be comfortable with being uncomfortable and don't be afraid to fail because at the end of the day, that failure, is what's going to eventually lead you to success.
Awesome. Alice, thank you for your time and for this interview. I was impressed when I met you in the beginning, and after having this a little longer conversation with you today, I'm even more so impressed with you. And I'm just excited to have been able to participate and support your journey. And I look forward to what's next for you. So, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today for the Teen Biz Podcast with Alice. And y'all will see more from her in the future and from our other youth. So, y'all stay tuned and we will catch you next week on the Teen Biz Podcast.